Welcome to Ask Sean, where I explore all sorts of questions about life, relationships, and being human. I'm Sean Slevin, a licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, you can go to www.asksean.org. So in this video, actually, it's going to be revisiting an interview from 2019. So I look a little bit different. You see a little bit different part of my office. But I'm exploring just the ways in which we need to, in long-term relationships, we need to be willing to risk a little bit of discomfort so that we can continually be open to the mystery of our partner. Because there's ways in which there's always more to learn about one another and always more to learn about ourselves. So in relationships, there is a really important role for safety and structure and routine. Those are really helpful and they kind of can help protect relationships. But also there's a way in which if we cling too tightly to kind of safety and structure, we can kind of sort of asphyxiate, kind of strangle a relationship, sort of squeeze the life out of it. And so, so this is going to kind of just do a little bit of exploring in this interview question around the ways in which, we need to be willing to kind of shake things up a bit, in healthy ways, mind you. I hope that you find it useful. So being in a long-term partnership, and kind of how we might sustain and develop kind of I think what we could call kind of an erotic energy in a couple over their life together. So I think there's some really really helpful ideas that Esther Perel in her book Mating in Captivity has kind of I think brought to the foreground in terms of the challenge of how we want sort of safety and security, and relationships need that, but the very dynamic of safety and security also can make kind of erotic energy kind of sort of fizzle, if you will. There's something fascinating about how we the stranger that we don't yet know can be more interesting than the person we feel like we have nothing new to learn about. And so the challenge there is not to go out and have a bunch of affairs. That's not the answer. The challenge is, how do we, within the context of a committed relationship and the safety and the knownness that brings and the good things of that, how do we also keep our hearts and minds open to the mystery of the other person? How do we allow ourselves to continue to see them as somebody separate from us, even though there's a part of us that always wants to close that gap, because the reality is we all have insecurities and life can be scary, and so we want to have there be no distance. But how can we cultivate and sort of sit with a degree of uncertainty, if you will, not an uncertainty of are you going to come home again or not? That's not a helpful uncertainty. But the uncertainty that comes from allowing ourselves to see that we don't know everything there is to know about the other person, that there is a degree of mystery to them. So I think some of the ways that we can go about fostering that can be doing new things together, getting to see one another in new settings. It can be one kind of practical way. So it just somehow, kind of riffing on that, just finding ways to sort of shake up the routine. Routine is really helpful and structure is really helpful, especially for family life with kids. But in terms of creating space for kind of that erotic energy, which I know I say erotic, I don't mean just the act of sex. I mean the energy that can exist between two people who have attraction for one another. And so we want to find ways to actually foster there being some distance, to being in touch with that you are actually a separate person from me, and I kind of want to come over to the other side of the room, and see what you're about. And so again, we have to be able to sit with the vulnerability of allowing our partner out of our sight literally and figuratively, and allowing ourselves to be aware of, as I said, that like I don't know everything there is to know about you, and I think, and we can even also turn that inward of like, I don't know everything there is to know about me. Like what are the ways that I'm getting in a rut? Like how can I sort of shake up my own snow globe a little bit? So I think the principle applies on both ends. Like how can we use sort of the stability of the relationship as a platform out of which to take some risks? Not risks in the form of like relationship breaking risks, but risks in the form of just allowing ourselves as individuals and as a couple to be a little bit uncomfortable, to be a little bit outside of our usual patterns, our usual settings, because that creates opportunity to sort of see oneself and our partner in a new light. And I think doing that, sort of cultivating a lifestyle of that, allows space for that erotic energy, kind of that energy of attraction, to continue to exist and to continue to grow and develop over the lifespan of a couple.